Hello everyone, welcome to today's session on Journey of a Computer Science Engineer by Tanay Pratap. Tanay is a software engineer at Microsoft and a mentor students love to have. He has worked on Microsoft Teams and Outlook and works with React, TypeScript, and Node.js, among other things. Tanay also shares his experience and tips on tech industry and life in his social channels, which I definitely encourage you to follow. They are really motivating to me personally. He also teaches at Neoji Camp, which is a full stack web development boot camp. It's a pleasure to have you, sir, addressing the keynote of Webathon 2020 by DSE PSU Electronic City Campus. Your talks have changed perspectives of a lot of students, and we hope it continues to do so in this session. To everyone watching, we also have a Q&A session at the end, so don't forget to leave your questions in the live chat. Over to you, Tanay.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Akash, for such a nice introduction. I was nervous before joining the call. You have only made me more nervous, so thank you so much for that. About changing perspectives, I'm not sure how much of it I'll be able to do today, but I'm really glad that you guys are doing Webathon 20 and then you invited me. I'm more glad about that part, though. But because I see in colleges people doing hackathons on AI, hackathons on blockchain, hackathons on VR. The cool stuff, the cool kids. But I don't see a lot of Webathon happening, and I'm really happy to be there. Next year, when you guys are doing Webathon 21, I would love to be there again. We would love to sponsor some of the prizes, not from Microsoft, by the way. Some of this is coming from me as Tanay Pratap, not making any promises from my employer's side. Uh, so this was amazing. Thank you for having me. And I'm going to talk about the journey of a computer science engineer. It's my journey. I am a computer science engineer. Technically, though, I graduated in information and computer communications technology (ICT), but it sounds better as a computer science engineer. When I was marketing this talk online on various social media channels, I talked about three mistakes of my engineering life, and that's what I'm going to talk about mistakes, so that you learn that everybody does mistakes and there are learnings from it. So let's begin the talk now. Okay, this I have to put. These are just ideas. These are my ideas. These are personal opinions. None of this is Microsoft's. None of this is universal. None of this applies to everyone. So listen to it, analyze it. You are a grown-up person, whoever is listening, uh, and then use it at your own risk. Don't come back to me. And also, my lawyer has asked me to put this on every slide, so I have to do it. I hope I'm doing a good job. Agenda. Who's the speaker? We'll talk about who this speaker is. Akash has done a great job, but I'll do. I'll give some more introduction. Why are we doing this talk? Why I chose web? Because this is Webathon and this is a keynote. You will have some surprises there. I'm not going to do a great job talking about web though. So and some more, and then we will have Q&A. So let's see. Let's dive into this. First of all, who is this guy? As Akash told you, I work at Microsoft. I have worked on Microsoft Teams, Outlook, and now I'm working at Microsoft Search. If you're using any of these products, chances are you might be running my code written by me. So I'm very proud of that thing that millions of users across the world use the products I have made and has helped me learn and grow. I teach coding on learncodingfree.org. That's a real website, by the way. So you can go there. I also host. It says host a podcast, but I host a lot of podcasts. I'm a serial podcaster. But Tea with Tanay is the one where I started. Now there are many more podcasts, and you can find all the links online when you Google for Tanay Pratap. I also speak at local meetups, international conferences around JavaScript community, TypeScript community, React community. I've started now accepting talks in colleges as well. I was not doing it for a very long time, but coming back to this arena because obviously I want to talk to students. Yes, there's something I'm not very proud of, but I'm dangerously active on social media. And you can find me at Tanay Pratap on any of these like Twitter, LinkedIn, GitHub, Instagram, YouTube. And I'm active everywhere. I post daily. Um, Not something I'm proud of, but yes, have to do it with style. Why this talk? Any talk you are going to commit 1 hour of your time, right? Why would you do that? Because as an engineer, I have made mistakes, and I wish I had known better. As if you go to my Instagram, the bio says that I want to be the mentor for you, which I never had, because I have made so many mistakes. My career has been so bad because of my mistakes. Now you would say, oh, you're an engineer at Microsoft. If this is bad career, what would be good career? But it could have been better, and I know this. I know it for a fact. So I have made a lot of mistakes. I wish I had someone who would told me, not to do these things, because I listen. I genuinely listen, but the problem is no one told me that. And second is, advice is dangerous. Now this is contradictory, isn't it? So this talk is about not making mistakes, but this talk is more about my personal story, my own perspective. Because if I tell you don't do X and do Y, and you listen to me, and you go ahead and do X and Y without understanding how it applies to your life, or why I went and said don't do X or Y, that's very dangerous. Quotes, advices, tweets, these are dangerous stuff, because life choices has nuances, and it's very important to understand nuance of a decision, nuance of a discussion, nuance of an advice. So instead of giving advice, I'm trying to give perspective. I'm trying to talk about my life, and there are things which you can learn from my life. There are things which I have learned from my life, from my mistakes. See, I'm not the most successful person out there, right? So why should you listen to me? Because you can avoid making these mistakes. That's the idea. So that's why this talk. What is this talk? We'll go through my personal journey, as I said, and reflect on some of my learnings, which you can pick up on. Okay, we'll see. This talk is special. Why? Because I have been doing online teaching for almost 2 years, and a lot of times I use quotes and quips from my own journey to say, don't do this, do that, do this, do that, don't do that, and things like that. And I never shared my entire journey, uh, how or where I became. Now you would say, who would be interested in that? But the thing is that a lot of people do follow me on social media, and they are interested on that. So I thought, why not, kill two birds with one stone? Yes. So, so I am a native Hindi speaker, by the way. So in my mind, when I'm thinking, the muhavra comes in Hindi, like ek tir se do shikar. Then I have to translate it in my mind and say, okay, two birds with one stone. So this talk will kill two birds with one stone. Yes, I have never talked about my personal journey in such detail, because I've been worried it's not useful. Like, who would care about a journey about this person X, or why I did or why I did not. But then recently on some of my podcasts, I invited people who have come from different backgrounds and then have made it bigger in industry. And when students listen to them, they said, wow, this gives me fresh perspective about career, this gives me fresh perspective about life. And I thought, if you are listening to someone else, might as well listen to me. So scene one. It's like how does it take one? Tanay in college. Getting disenchanted with programming. This is important, because when I was in school, and when I even before I started programming, some of those kids who just love computers, who to try everything. You wouldn't relate to it, because there's obviously a generation gap. But 20 years back, 20 15 17 years back, yeah, 17 years back, I was so much into computer, doing computer olympiad, buying Digit magazine, and Digit was costly for me. And then also I persuaded my dad that you need to buy me this, and then trying all of that software, installing operating system, doing things, just wasting time. But love for computer was amazing. And then somehow I managed to get into IT branch as well in MIT Manipal. First year was almost zero programming. I don't know why that happens in engineering, but then it's okay. I survived that. The second year when I started doing, there was no programming. Second year we had one programming lab, or I think one programming subject, and there were things like a microprocessor and logic circuits, things like that, like all theory, so much theory. And I'm like, dude, give me programming. And before that, when I was in standard 11 and 12, I took computer science as my fifth subject, and I was so damn good at it. So damn good. I made so many projects. I knew everything about pointer, double pointer, left to right, right to left, how all of these execution happens. Some of those kids who solve those tricky questions and then marvel on that. Oh, I know this now. Cha, 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 cha. Read more than one book. There was one, let us see, Yashwant Kanitkar. There were also some books, I don't remember now. I think there was one more book. So, reading more books, trying more things, spending extra time in computer lab, learning with teacher. Nilanjan sir was my first programming teacher, and huge respect to him till date, 15 years. He taught me how to learn programming, and I'm teaching a lot of people how to learn programming, how he taught me, and I was hooked. And then one year in first year in college, and then second year in college, and I'm like, what is this? So I was super passionate, but then college mein to I got like 7 point. Somehow managed 7 point. Even failed once. There was an F as well. I remember posting about it on my Orkut account once. That I had such dreams that when I go to college, I'll create things, I'll make things, I'll be an engineer. When you think about an engineer, right? You think about creating things and then sending it to someone, and like, yes, it will be used, like, wow. And then that marvel of engineering, that Iron Man thing, right? That feeling was missing in the education. And I remember when I posted it to my Orkut account, my sister read it. She's 4 years younger to me, and that time she was also thinking about which branch to take or which stream to take. And she said that when you were so passionate about computing so much, and then you didn't like engineering, then I think I'm not made up for engineering. And she went and became a lawyer from there. So it changed my life, it changed my sister's life as well, because of it. So I gave up on programming. I thought this is really boring. If instead of programming I have to do X, Y, these things, I might as well not do it. And then I got into network security, and I thought it was cool. Because when you look into movies, almost every other engineer is like a network security guy, and like chaka, 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 and then there are flashing screens and all of that. So it feels like something. Getting a network security job is very difficult when you are in college, because not a lot of companies hire for it. But I was good. One thing I have is, if I put my mind into something, I go with 100% dedication. Thank God. But then I got a job in network security. So first mistake was depending on college too much, getting disenchanted with programming, thinking that college should help me get my passion up, or lighten up about programming. I think that was a big mistake. Uh, Over time, I've understood that colleges have limitations. If any of the faculty member or anybody is listening, I have utmost respect for what you guys are doing, but I know you guys are also limited. And any student who are listening, understand that colleges are not in charge of your life. You are in charge of your life. And this was one big mistake which I did in the first 2 3 years of college, getting disenchanted with programming, getting into network security, and all of that stuff. So that's mistake one. Serious. Scene two. Tanay network security role. Uh, so I worked 3 years as a network security dev. I was working in Cypress Semiconductor. I was handling their Asia network. I set up firewalls. I set up intrusion detection system. It's called IDS, by the way. And we worked a lot with different vendors. It was fun. I'll be honest. It was fun thinking about it, learning about it. But then when I wanted to change to a different company, because in IT what happens is in 2 to 3 years, in 4 to 5 years, you have to shift to get some more money, to get some more leverage, to get some more experience out of a different company. When you are thinking about your career, you have to do that. In Microsoft also, actually, I do shift teams to try different things, to get more exposure. When I was trying that in India, I was getting no, like, absolutely no demand. Like, I went for interviews, and Cyprus was paying me a lot of money. In 2012, they were paying me around 10 lakhs, which was good. And not a lot of companies pay that much money, at least to network security roles. And I'll tell you why. Because it's the career ladder for a network security is complete with certifications. You have to do multiple certification. You CEH, you have to do CCISP, you have to do CCI security, CCNP security. And certifications are again theory and boring, and again you have to mug up things which I hated. I landed up again in that, and there is very less programming needed, to be honest. In, like, when you see Arrow or something where Felicity writes a program and says, I have written a programming and is doing this matching and that matching, and I'm into the server now. Those things don't happen in real life. Like, almost never happens in real life. There are already programs written for you. There's a whole Metasploit kit which you can use. So you don't program a lot, to be honest. I got out from there. Luckily, a friend referred me. Strong referral went into Cisco, and I went back to programming. At this time, during this time, I was doing some freelancing work, helping my dad set up a website for his company. Also, other people setting up, NGOs and all. I did some freelancing work there while working. So I had some experience into programming. The spark was still alive. So I got into Cisco. I went through interviews. That happened. But learning from my mistakes. Second mistake was, getting behind cool stuff. Like, when I got disenchanted from programming from college, I went and did the most cool thing. And I was very bullish. I was into Steve Jobs and thing. Passion. If you have passion, you should follow that passion. I was not getting jobs. I remember everyone was placed in the seventh semester itself. I got my job at eighth semester, just because I wanted to get into network security. I should I should have understood that, there's coolness and then there's demand, and the coolness was not proportional to demand. So, and not knowing the real job role, right? Like, what it shows in movie. Now you would be thinking, wow, this guy is such a fool. I was. So if you're thinking that, thank you so much for agreeing to me. So I was a fool, doing not understanding what the real job role is, what you do day to day. And now when someone asked me for advice whether I should take job X or take job Y, I always ask them, talk to the hiring manager and ask them, ki, uh, how would my day look like in X, in job role X or in job role Y. I also have something written like this. Like, if some recruiter approaches me to get a job outside Microsoft, I ask them very clearly that, can you give me like a written piece of how the job would look in day X versus day Y, So yeah, you make mistakes. You're a fool. You learn things. It's okay. Then I jumping into AI. Tuck tuck. Scene three. I was wiser now. I knew I went into a field with less demand. So I went into a field with unlimited demand. In 2015, 2016 time frame, everybody were like, AI is the future. AI, even now, I mean, even in 2020, people say AI is the future and AI is going to be the next big thing. And people like Google CEO and different companies say like, we believe in AI. That's why we are starting this AI school, this AI that, this AI that. Unlimited demand. This time I'll not make this mistake. I'll get into the right field. So 1.5 years in AI. And I realized that most of the demands were in startups, who were trying to get funds because VC was cool. VC money was getting into AI, so people were trying to do AI, but no one had data. To do real AI, you need to have real data, massive amount of data, which only big companies have. Companies who harvest your data. I don't know name any company here, but you know which company I'm talking about, right? Or which companies I'm talking about, right? So they harvest data, and that's why they have real data, and then they do a lot of AI work there. But small startups, the biggest problem they have is they don't have data in India. So if some CEO, someone says, we are doing AI and we are changing the face of, mostly they are creating chatbots, which is not AI. But then it gets funding, so why not? So yeah, we left the cushion job of US and we are doing something like this. We are doing AI in India. Ask them, how much data do you have, how many people are using your chatbot, what's the feedback loop, and then you will see suddenly they shift uncomfortably. But then again, I was a fool that time. And big companies who have data, companies who have real AI labs, companies who have real money to put into it. AI is a costly field because you have to run a lot of simulations right there. So, and they were not hiring graduates. Like if you come to Microsoft, or if you go to Google or any good company and you want to work in AI, chances are you would be a data engineer rather than a data scientist. There is a difference. So when people say I work in AI in company X, ask them whether you are a data scientist or a data engineer. Again, define your day job. Do you come and clean data and scrub features, or do you actually work on algorithms and improve their accuracy? I think which I realized was, research. There is a lot of money in AI. There's a lot of demand in AI, but the demand and the money is on the research side, and it's concentrated on in few companies, in few groups, in few startups. It's not a generic thing. So research versus application. The application of AI does not have that much money. Like scikit-learn or PyTorch will not get you a lot of money in industry today. This I realized. So I got out of this. You see, I have always been lucky. So I make mistakes, but Lord Ram, he is merciful, so he takes me out of it. So I left Cisco because I was so convinced that AI will work. I left Cisco. I went to work for an AI startup. That startup got shut down, by the way. That's a different story. Shouldn't be laughing about it. But so I went and worked to work on AI in a startup, but they were pivoting. They pivoted after I joined, after 2 months. They pivoted. They were trying, because no money. So they were trying to pivot, and they wanted some web development work done. And that's the first time, I think, in 2017 February, that's the first time I did serious web development. I had some experience, again, doing freelancing work on the side and all of it. Sometimes I made web apps for Cisco, for Cypress as well, but I was never an expert, to be honest. So I said I'll do it, no problem, and I learned everything: React Router, Redux, everything. I set up a Webpack, everything. There was no Create React app when I was doing this, and I had to set up everything. And thank God I had to do everything, because I learned a lot, even though I burned candles from both ends. It worked. So luck again. I get stuck, and sometimes someone comes and gets me out. And this is where Microsoft happened. 2017 February, I started serious web development. 2017 October, I get a call saying, hey, we are Microsoft, we want to hire you. That's a different story. And then Microsoft happened from there. Mistake number 3: understanding where the real demand is. Real demand is boring. Real demand does not get interview. Sorry, not interviews. Does not get headlines. because it's boring. It's business, day-to-day business, everyday business, and it does not get VC hype because VCs need to find a new thing every year. One year they find AI, next year they find VR, next year they find blockchain. Every year they find something new to invest, to make money, and the reason one out of 20 startups make it because nobody knows the game. They're all playing the odds. Okay. Again, this will infuriate a lot of people, but true. If a VC can come and tell me that I know this X startup will do big, and that's why I am betting this money on it, then I am ready to be proven wrong. But the reason they diversify their portfolio, they try different things, is because they are also trying to see what works in market, and that creates a lot of hype. Because that the year when blockchain was up, I remember everybody was doing blockchain startups. Suddenly every startup was pivoting how to get blockchain into the market and how to get that VC money. So that I understood that VC hype is fake. There's this real demand, and then there is VC demand, which a lot of you also guys get into and say, Tanay, what can I do with blockchain? I'm like, nobody's using blockchain, don't do it. But then again, who listens to me? I am a fool. So let's do a quick revision of my mistakes. First mistake was depending on college education too much. Second mistake was going after what I felt was cool. And third mistake was failure to differentiate, real from hype, whatever, hype from reality, things like that. These were the three mistakes of my engineering life. I have become wiser since then. Or maybe I'm making mistakes and I'll become wiser even more. So I became wiser. There's this saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I was fooled thrice. So definitely shame, poppy shame on me. Okay. So I hope you guys are also laughing, because otherwise, if I laugh on my own jokes, it looks very sad. Scene 4, Tanay gets into web dev. Why? Because it looks simple. I had burnt my fingers, right? The same thing. In Hindi it says कि दूध का जला छाछ भी फूक फूक के पीता है. And I was तो जला from छाछ only. So I was fooking even water now. So I went into web dev. Why? It looks simple. There's no coolness. Nobody is cool because he's a web developer. I do web, like I do React. Okay, I do VR. Dude, can you tell me about? I have this $1 million idea. I'm looking for a co-founder. If you can make that VR app, we'll be billionaires by the end of today. So web, Wix can do it. WordPress can do it. Shopify can do it. Everybody can do it. There's this problem around web. When people say I'm a web developer, other people think that you are developing websites or you are doing WordPress, blogs. A real web developer's job is not like that. A real web developer works on complicated products like Teams, like Outlook, like Facebook, like Figma, like whether I should take that name or not. Let me think. Okay, I'll take like that other chat app, which is, Teams competitor. Okay, I'll take the name Slack, like Slack. So the web developers don't work on Wix and WordPress and Webflow are aimed at marketers. Understand the difference. People who want to market stuff, not create real valuable products. So it looks simple. So first mistake, no coolness. I don't want coolness. There's zero respect. People think that web development is not 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 hard enough, and they want to do backend, they want to do AI, they want to do something which is tough, which would mean like they are real engineers, and things which has scale. So you read about that database, DynamoDB paper, and then Kafka, and you read about Redis, and you think, oh my God, these are real programs, because these programs are fault tolerant and they follow all the principles of distributed systems. So you'll read about these things, and you feel like, if I am not doing this, am I a real engineer? You are not. There's zero respect for web development. So I chose that field. Again, there's zero VC interest in this. No company, yes, no company ever got funded because their website was shiny. Like, let me put like, let me give 10 million funds because I like their website, or I like their web app because it's made in React or Vue or Angular. Nobody cares about that when they are getting VC funding. So you don't see any hype talking about these technologies. You don't see hype about React or Vue or Angular or React Native because VCs have zero interest. They don't care about it. So I said, I want to do this because I had burnt my fingers before. Why did I do web? Honest opinions. Honest opinions time. See, the whole industry today is moving towards web. And I'll tell you examples. Desktop apps, automation libraries. Automation libraries like automation libraries like upon a time there was all testing was being done, all web testing was done using Java. Okay. And there was this famous library for it, which I seem to forget. Selenium. Sorry, Selenium. But now things are moving towards Cypress. Microsoft is putting a lot of money into Playwright to get it successful. And it's one of the trending libraries today. Why? Because the next thing for automation, at least for the front end automation, is again JavaScript, TypeScript. Mobile apps, we'll talk about it. And then obviously web apps, because web has to move towards web. Where would they move? Internet is the biggest platform. Today, if you talk about users spending their time on platforms, number one is internet. And internet browser only understands JavaScript. It's the only language which browser understands. You can do 10 other languages, you can do Python, you can do any other language. But Python wouldn't run on your laptop. What this means is you cannot create interactive applications. You can do server-side application. You can say, but sir, Python does Django. Yes, it can do Django, but those are server-side applications wherein you generate things on server. You cannot make it interactive. Like think about you click on Facebook and then you type something. You say, what's on your mind? My mind is that Tanay is wasting my time. And then you click on post. And then it goes to server. And then it comes back with a new page says your post is done. That is like Web 2.0, pre-Web 2.0 days, right? Where Ajax was not a thing. So you cannot do things like that anymore. And if you don't want to do things like that prehistoric things, then you have to learn JavaScript. And you have to create apps using JavaScript or TypeScript. That's the only language. And it's the biggest platform. So that's why people are moving towards web. Desktop today is third. And Electron is winning this. Already, I think any of the new apps, if you think about any of the new apps, you think about Figma, you think about Slack, you think about Teams, you think about the new Xbox app. All of these apps are either on Electron or React Native desktop. And I'll tell you why. The reason for this also, I'll tell you. Wait for a second. I'm just telling you how the shift is happening. The reason for the shift will come soon. Mobile is second, right? Mobile web JavaScript is not that big. I'll be honest with you, but it's not that small either. React Native is growing. A lot of apps are in React Native because if you write on React Native, you can write once and run it for Windows. Yes, it can run for Windows, but on mobile it can run for Android and iOS both. And progressive web app, if you don't know about it, PWA is a strong candidate. And there are PWAs for Google Maps, for Starbucks, for Flipkart, for LinkedIn, and many other big companies have invested so much time on PWAs. That has become like a second nature, and PWA is completely, front end app, which is JavaScript. You cannot write a PWA in Python. You cannot write a PWA in PHP. You cannot write a PWA in Java. You cannot do that. No, you can't. No, you can't. So you need to know JavaScript. So top three platforms: internet, mobile, desktop. All three platforms can be used by By JavaScript, by React Native, Vue, all of these things. Think about it. Let that sink in for a second. Why is web growing? So we established that web is growing. That why is web growing? Are companies fool? No. The bigger reason is that companies understood over the time that DevOps is a real thing. DevOps mean that you keep pushing new code every other day, right? You ship daily. Every day you get a new update. You don't have to remember. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a time when it would say, we have a new update for you. Click here to install. Or even now, in some of the legacy apps, it says, we have a new, give us time tonight and we'll update it for you. Today, if you go to linkedin.com, you see a new UI, you see changes here, you see changes there. You don't, nobody asks for your permission these days to ship you new things, right? Why do you want to ship daily? Because it makes your customer happy. There was so much buzz when LinkedIn did it. There is so much buzz when any new app comes up. We shipped Outlook, the new version, and customers were super happy. And then we started shipping more features on top of it, and customers were even more happy. And it gives you delight. It also tells you that you can run experiments. Sometimes customers wouldn't be happy and you would take that feature out very easily. Instead of, hey, we have shipped the new update, why don't you go to Play Store and click on 5 buttons to get the new update, or things like that. So you don't have to do that. Web may you can, the time to market and the time to remove from market also is very fast. There's a reason in e-commerce website, web apps, sorry, in e-commerce apps also, the checkout pages are web. They are embedded inside the web, inside the, what do you call, inside the mobile application, inside the native application. Because if there is any mistake in checkout, if there's any problem with checkout, you can quickly fix that. You won't have to wait for a download, an update download. So it fixes problem fast. That's why people are moving towards web. And you don't have enough devs. The problem which even we are facing in Microsoft is we do not have enough front end devs. We do not have enough JavaScript, TypeScript, good engineers who want to do passionately web. So what we are doing is inside Microsoft, I myself have trained people who have moved from back end to front end, because more and more of the projects are moving towards front end. Even masters, people who have done masters in AI, are fixing. This is a joke, by the way, don't take it seriously, but they are working on web development. And you would find so many people, like, talk to your seniors who have gone and done masters in US, and ask them what's their day-to-day job is, and ask them how many did graduation, like post-graduation in AI, and how many landed in a job which is post-graduation, which uses their skill. Okay, please do that. Don't listen to me. Please collect your own data, and don't collect 1% or 2% or 10% data. Collect 20 people data, and then you will know that what I'm saying is truth. And companies are looking for talent desperately. I'm not sure whether you know this or not. Cracking a back-end interview, cracking a software engineer STE interview is very tough in Google and Facebook, and in Microsoft as well. It's not easy to get in, because everybody is doing that competitive programming. Everybody is doing that. I did lead code, 500 questions on lead code, 800 questions on lead code. How will you compete with that? But in Google, in Facebook, and some parts of Microsoft as well, there is a separate track for UI. You can go as a UI engineer, you will be asked domain related questions: JavaScript, browser, internet, web, these things. That you'll be asked this. Because everybody is looking for people. And I mean, you think about Google, right? You think about Google, the entire business model of Google is on web. Everything which you see, Google business, your workspace, everything is web. You think about Facebook, web. Microsoft is also moving towards web. You think about Teams, it's completely a web app. It's completely web app. It's packed into Electron and it's given as a desktop app. But it's when you go to microsoft.teams.com and you install something, or you use it on browser, you are using the same app, you're using the same code. So the idea that you can use the same code as a web app, as a desktop app, as a mobile app also. We do a lot of code sharing when we are using React Native. The work which I'm currently doing in Microsoft, we are making the search experience, people search experience, and that search experience will work on 6 platforms, not one, not two, 6 platforms. We are using React Native for that. Not one, not two, 6. It will work on iOS, it will work on Android, it will work on different desktops. Their desktops also are different, right? And it will work on web, all of it, Mac OS, Windows UXP, all of this. A lot of work is going on there. So the thing which I'm trying for you to understand is there's a lot of demand because there's a lot of cross-platform code sharing, and companies want to code share. They don't want. The problem with having for different platform, different app is that some app will try some feature, people would love it on that platform, and then other platform like Mac OS does not have this, I don't like this, when is this coming on Mac OS, when is this coming on that OS, when is coming on that OS. Doing web, you can ship fast and you can ship the same code in different places. So understand why web is important, because it's business, it's making money. Huh. Last part, some my own thing is, so many people were looking at web developers to hire, that we created a challenge. People used to come and ask me whether I can refer them to a company, and I would say, or the company would come and ask whether I can refer them a developer. So I created something called Job Challenge, which is now Elevate Labs, and you can go to elevatelabs.tech. We created something wherein we placed people even during pandemic. Yeah, we got placed people during pandemic. So imagine the demand. Everybody was losing job. Everybody left, right, center were losing jobs, and I was placing people. I was placing people into good companies, and we created it saying Elevate Labs. Now it's still going on. You should check it out. ElevateLabs.tech. If you or your friend is looking for a job in web, please come there. And the idea here, what I'm trying to say is, imagine the demand. Like, come to Elevate Labs, don't come to Elevate Labs. I have enough students. But imagine the demand of web today, that when everybody was getting fired, we were getting people hired, because people are looking for web developers to create products. You get funding saying we are a blockchain startup, you get funding saying we are a VR startup, but the end product, you get funding saying we are working in voice AI, but the end product is has to have some interface, and that interface always comes up as web. One last thing which I want to say is, my perspective for a career guy is, you make a bright career as a programmer. Don't pigeonhole yourself as, I want to be VR, I want to be blockchain, I want to be AI guy, I want to do XYZ. No, you want to do programmer and be a programmer, and wherever there's demand, wherever there's a chance to change millions and millions of life at once, you take that chance. You take that chance, simple as that. Today, if I work on Teams, or I work on Outlook, or I work on Search, not millions, billions of people may be going to use that software. That is an amazing opportunity as a software engineer to have. Think about it. That's an amazing opportunity to change people's life. When there was pandemic, we were supporting Outlook. I was into Outlook. I was in Outlook team. That then I just changed the team recently, and we knew how much impact we were making with Outlook, with Teams, with different products. And all of this, we are, by the way, we are doing it in India, in Bangalore center. So if you are looking into things like that, please be passionate about being a programmer first. Don't worry about what is cool, what is not, what is hot, what is not. Understand these things. My whole talk was to make you understand business, that business drives tech, not the other way. And if you don't understand that, then you'll be a fool like me, like how I was for the better part of my career. I think I have become wiser, and that's why I have shared all of this. Uh, Revision, because a good teacher always does this. Don't depend on college 100%. Be your in charge. Don't buy into coolness. Don't buy into VC hype, and be flexible with your career. If you can see one thing, is that be flexible. Just because you landed up in a domain where you feel locked in, where you don't feel you have enough work to do, enough impact to create, change that domain. It's a long career. We are playing a 40-year, 30-year game. and first 2 years, first 3 years, first 5 years would not make or break anything. Okay. Uh, Thank you. If you want to learn web, I teach online. Just Google Tanay Pratap. You will find all the links. Everything is there. Or just follow me here at Tanay Pratap, Twitter, LinkedIn, GitHub, Instagram, YouTube. Follow me. Don't follow me. That's not a problem. The point I'm trying to make is understand that your career is very important for you. So other people might try to fool you, other people might try to sell something to you, but you have to be smart about it. Don't make mistakes like I did. Make new mistakes at least. Um, I'll take questions now. So Akash, if you are there, I'm ready to
Yes,
take
sir.
questions. Yes. Please don't
Yes,
call
sir.
me sir. Nobody calls anybody sir in industry. So call me Tanay.
Okay. We have a question from Anirudh. Would you say the scope of learning from certification courses has improved now?
Okay, okay. I think yes. Since when I was in college, or even when I was learning web, we didn't have so many resources uh, on our fingertips to learn. That's obviously there. But on certification, I have very clear thoughts that certificates are garbage. Don't do it because they don't add a lot of value. And I mean, think about a Coursera certificate or any X certificate. People are copying homeworks and doing it. So certificate doesn't prove anything. So idea is to create projects, show your learning on GitHub. Don't show your learning on LinkedIn with a certificate. We know where to find the difference. The recruiters also know now that Coursera certificates or things like that are not helping. If there's a proctored exam like CCNA, or there are from Azure and Microsoft and AWS, if there's a proctored exam, then it has some value. So I'm not sure where the question was coming, Anirudh, but I think I answered it like a blanket answer I have given.
Okay, we have another question from Meet.
Mhm.
Perspective for a final year confused engineering kid who is stuck between wanting and preparing to get placed and wanting to work on NeoG Camp to kickstart his front end journey.
Oh my God. Meet Shah. Cool. So both the idea about NeoG Camp and Elevate Labs is to get you placed, right? So I would say do this. If your college has a really good placement cell, and if people are getting placed through your college, get the college placement. Simple as that. As simple as that. Do that. But if your college has no placement or zero placement, or good, or like only service companies placements, then don't go for that. Then come to Elevate Labs and we'll place you there, because at least our placements would be better than that. More money, better work, more challenges, good career path. I think that is how I would do. So again, all of this is perspective, right? Depending on your current condition, you can choose me whether you want to do placements through college, or whether you want to do the NeoG camp and then get placed through Elevate Labs.
Okay, so we have a question from Mrinal. Does this race of competitive coding make sense? Is it not like race for IIT all over again?
Yeah, it is. It is, Manal. I completely agree with you, dude. I mean, I'm just fed up with this. Like, see, DS algo is important. I'm not saying it's not important. DSA is important. We use it in work, but we don't use it daily. We don't write algorithms back of our head, right? We know what algorithm is what. We know what's the complexity of each. We know which would suit. We know when to use an array and when to use a hash map. That all we know. Any day you ask me, I know. But if you ask me right now to write a merge sort, I wouldn't be able to write it. Trust me, I don't remember what merge sort is. So the idea again is that it's become like an IIT race. Like, you first we kill your childhood, then we kill as an industry, we kill your childhood, then we kill your youth, so that you don't get to love, you don't get to get married, you don't get to travel. All you have to do is 700 questions on lead code, 1000 questions on lead codes, red coder, blue coder, yellow coder. I don't know what this has become. So I totally agree with you, Mrinal, but I have very limited powers inside the industry. With whatever power I have made Elevate Labs for exactly this, that you create projects and showcase your projects, and projects would get you a job. instead of competitive coding.
Yeah, and this question I think many freshers have.
Mhm.
Do FANG companies recruit web developers? If yes, then what should freshers do?
Good question. Imtisal Ahmed, that's a great question, Imtisal. So, do FANG companies recruit web developers? Yes, they do. Okay. So you don't consider Microsoft as a FANG company, but but Facebook and Google and Amazon and Netflix. So Netflix is uh, hub for web developers, by the way. Okay, so all of these companies have separate UI track. They have separate web development track. They hire, and they hire in numbers. They are desperately looking for talent. But there is a big but here. They don't hire freshers as web developers, because the interview system is created like that in these companies, that fresher hiring happens via competitive coding only. What to do? You can't win all the games. So if you are a fresher, I would say, if you want to work in these companies, do your competitive coding, crack the interview. But when you come in, when you get in, you have a chance, you have a choice to say, and you can always say that, hey, I'm very passionate about web. And this is limited, by the way, only to these FANG, Mang, whatever, these big companies, where you get only via competitive coding. Other product companies, other startups, they hire web developers directly, freshers as well. But when you get into a FANG, and you are confident about your web skills, please get into web. You will have a bright career inside the company. That I can assure you.
Okay, we have a question from Rudra. Is Linux important for dev?
I don't know how do you, Rudra. How do you define important? You tell me, Akash. How do you define important?
I would define it as something that is being used in the industry
Okay.
and there is a
Yes.
demand for it.
Yes. Definitely. So good. Good. I like your definition, Akash. So if it's being used in industry, definitely it's being used in industry. Learning Linux has helped me a lot. Setting up servers, network security, all of that work was definitely into Linux. Even now, even though when I do web development, if I have to set up my own server, I feel very hands-on, and very, what do you call it? Very comfortable doing it. But would it matter whether you are getting a job or not, if you know or don't know Linux? No, nobody would care about your operating system expertise for jobs. So there is this coolness, again, this coolness inside colleges, right? That if you're not using Linux, then are you a developer? So I don't use Linux. Am I a developer? And there are a lot of people who don't use Linux. They use Mac or they use Windows, and they are really good developers. So these things wherein you pigeonhole something like Linux. Linux is very important to use to become a real developer. That's wrong. Otherwise, it's a good to have skill. Definitely good to have skill.
We have another question from Anirudh. How can
Okay.
students do project with a focus on backend development despite not having the need to develop at scale, which companies look for?
Oh my God. Anirudh, I am not an expert in backend development, so I don't know how to answer this question, to be honest. But I was looking into this. What you can do is, there is a really good course on Coursera saying cloud development, or if you search for distributed computing. So here is what I would say: learn distributed computing instead of backend. Backend is just one part of it. If you want to do, backend is not what scales. The distributed computing part is what we call it today cloud, which is scaling, right? So learn that part. There are good courses on MIT. There are good MIT X, what is that called, edX courses are there, and there are good courses on Coursera. Learn those things and try to recreate, like, in your own laptop. You can create all of these things, those features, those protocols. You can write on your own, the fault tolerance, all of those things. So you don't need to have a scale to learn these things. If you know what you want to learn, you can learn it yourself. But again, Anirudh, I'm not the expert on this. I would love for you to talk to an expert who would explain this much better, I guess.
Okay, we have a question from Adil, which is, I'm sure, very common between students. Stuck between development and DSA, how to do both?
This is good question. So Adil, I would say uh, like have some time management skills, do some DSA and do some web development. And then again, I would say this again and again, that you have to optimize things for a short term goal. So sometimes if your colleges are having placements that time, because DSA, if you do, you'll forget after some time, right? So what you need to do is, and even now we also, when we only learn DSA when we are going for another interview. That's the truth of it. If you ask me today, I told, right, I don't remember half of the things, but if I have to go for an interview again, and then I have to do DSA at that point of time. So if you're going for an interview, do DSA. If your colleges are not getting you placed, if you come from a college where the placements are not good and you want to get placed through Elevate Labs or through outside help, then do more development, because then DSA takes a smaller seat. You will be asked very basic stack, queue, array questions only. String array. I mean, I don't know, like DSA is like this huge. There's a lot of scope, but you can do a little bit pieces of it. And I have a really good podcast around it. You should listen to it on Thinking with Tanay. Maybe I'll put the link. I'll send the link to Akash, and he can put the link there. That answers this in detail.
Okay, I have one question from my side. What do you
Okay.
think is an emerging technology in web development that is gaining pace?
So web is not that cool to have a VR of its own. It slowly changes. It changes slowly because it affects millions of people, right? Billions actually. So what is an emerging technology which is going to be cool? I think Svelte has some promise. I feel that Svelte has promise. I have also tried my hands on it, but I think whatever good is there in Svelte, other frameworks will might just manage to make it. So there's nothing emerging, nothing really cool about things. Things are moving at the same space. There's new thing happening every day. One thing which I would tell is very interesting, I think, emerging or not, I don't know, but very interesting is that you can run Rust, Go, C, C++, all of these code today in browser using WebAssembly. And there are some apps which are written using this, and they are using WebAssembly to run it in the browser. That's great. It's not going to eat a lot of JavaScript work, because the implications are limited, but it's also very powerful because you can run some of these uh, programs like Katia and all inside a browser thanks to this. So I think WebAssembly is pretty cool if you have to look into one. Also, Svelte, I like the ideas of Svelte, the compiling side, because we have moved to something else in last 10 years. I think Svelte wants to move it to the right in the right direction.
Yeah, I have personally tried Svelte and I really like the idea behind it.
Awesome, great. Try WebAssembly also. It's fun.
Yes, we have a question from Vamsi. Is it needed to memorize stuff like algorithms and graphs, things which can easily be Googled?
So I have two, Vamsi, I have two answers to this. Okay, the see always the answer is it depends. If you are get going into a company, um, going into a company wherein the interviews, you want to crack the interviews, then obviously you have to learn this. Whether you need to know it at all time, sometimes you not do, sorry, sometimes you do need it once. Like I remember we are having discussions inside a meeting room, and we have like whiteboards in the background, and suddenly someone will pick up and then start talking about, this is the algorithm, and we are going to create this cache. So LRU will use, no, we'll use this. We can also use this. We can use a map here to take care of this. And if you don't know at that point, like if you can't Google, right, when you are talking to people, it's like, can I talk to you if I don't know? Suppose if you are a Russian person, can I talk to you in Russian by Googling? You can always Google what is my name, change it to Google, and then change it to Russian, and then say, yeah, my name is Tanay Pratap. Hello, it was very nice to meet you. But the problem is that you cannot talk in Russian, right? So when you're conversing with people who talk in this language, you talk in design patterns, you talk in algorithms, you talk in software architecture terms, then you need to know the lingo. So the lingo part is important. We have taken it to the extreme. I agree completely. I told this before also. Competitive programming and all of this has taken it to the extreme. What we need is a middle ground. We need to know DSA. We need to know development. We need to enjoy both and appreciate both.
Okay, we have one question from Jackie. I
Okay.
dropped 2 years after BTech in GATE to get into IIT to get into FANG. Now I'm nowhere and depressed. What should I do?
Operate this is. I think you should talk to some of your family members or an expert around this. If you are if you are depressed, asking this online wouldn't help much. I think you should take professional help around this. There is one thing I would say is whether you drop 2 years, you failed 5 years, uh, you took bad decisions for first 5 years of your career, it feels depressing for some point of time, but you can overcome all of this. You have to have faith in two things. One thing is your hard work, and second thing is that the world wants you to be better. This universe works in that way that it what I call luck is basically someone trying to help you all the time, and there will be people who will try to help you, whether they will get you a referral somewhere, whether uh, they will good say good things about you when you are getting into Microsoft, so that the hiring manager calls you twice and gets you hired. There are people who will always look out for you if your intentions are pure. So, Jackie, I would say first thing is talk to a professional about depression. It's not something to be taken lightly. Second thing is believe in your hard work, and definitely third thing is that have that faith in this universe that it will do good for you. It doesn't matter how much screwed up you are. I mean, think about Robert Downey Jr. He did so many things wrong in his life, and then he picked up from there, and then I'm Iron Man, right? So if he can do it, we can do it. Everyone can do it. There are multiple examples.
We have a question from Ravindra. What are your views on demand of embedded and IoT domain?
So my views here are again the same, that there is demand and there is money, right? Both of these things are there. But is there demand for more number of developers? So here is what I would say to Ravindra or anybody who thinks about these things. There's a lot of hype created, right? The answer to that hype is you go to LinkedIn and then there is a job search, or you go to Indeed, there's a job search, or you go to Naukri, there's a job search, and you type those keywords and see how many values you get returned. It says, like, if you type for data science, you would get, say, 10,000 jobs. If you type for web development, you would get 1 lakh jobs. Type for IoT and see how many jobs you are getting. Because end of the day, you don't care about how much money is in IoT. Money is in IoT for devices. Understand this. You say this is $1 billion industry. It is, because IoTs have device cost, right? When you say web development doesn't, it's not $1 billion industry because there's no device cost. Everybody already has a device. Everybody has a phone. Everybody has a laptop. Everybody has a computer. There's no device cost. Same with security. When I went into security, people are saying billions of dollars. It's a big industry. There's so much money. Yes, there is money. They were not wrong, but the money was in devices, because one firewall, one router, one IDS costs so much. Your entire lifetime salary would go in one IDS box, by the way. So here is what I would say. IoT has promise, voice has promise, VR has promise, and it has a lot of money because there is device cost associated with all of these things. What you need to ask is how many people are hiring for it, how many good companies are hiring for it, how many good projects are going on, and can you see a long term career in this? Try. If you don't get, then be quick to jump to a different thing, and then come to a talk like this and talk about how you made mistakes.
Okay, we have another follow-up question of WebAssembly. Your opinion about Rust?
I have amazing opinions about Rust. Rudra Hari, if you are working on Rust, please contact me. We'll work on Rust together. But my again, now just problem Akash is if I say I have amazing opinion about Rust, people will start stopping JavaScript and doing Rust. So Rust is a good language for future. If I am right, which you saw, I am wrong so many times. But if I'm wiser and I'm right now, I think Rust is a great language to learn for future. But language to learn for present is TypeScript, JavaScript. Go is also a good language, by the way, Rudra. I think Rust and Go are good languages to learn, and I would prefer if you learn Go first and then go into Rust if you are looking at backend languages.
Okay, question from my side. Do you think the quality of projects matter or the quantity of projects matter?
Obviously, quality. But you cannot have I have one quality project only. So it's all about having a balance, Akash. You have to have quantity and you have to have some quality as well. you you cannot do just one. I'll do only quality project and I'll do only one project. If you're doing that one project, you better market it really well that people know you from that. But the problem with this life is that you don't know what will stick. So what you do is you try different ideas, you try different experiments, and then one of those experiments will succeed, and then you can put all your energy into that experiment. So if that's the idea, then do one project, do it really good. But if you're looking for a job, if you're looking to impress people, try some variety, like try some front end, try some back end, try some WebAssembly, try some plugins, Chrome plugins, VS Code plugins, things like that. Try different stuff so that we can see your depth when we are hiring you.
Okay, we have one question from Shreyas asking about Flutter.
Hey, I have a really good podcast recorded on this, on Flutter, because my opinions of Flutter cannot be said in like one line. Or if I have to say it one line, Flutter is again, Flutter is no Rust. I cannot say it's good for future. Flutter is no React. I cannot say it's good for present. Flutter could be good in future, definitely not good in present right now. Not a lot of people are hiring for Flutter. There's not a lot of demand. There's a lot of hype created by Google. That's okay. I mean, that's their technology, and there's business running behind Flutter, right? Because if people start making apps in Flutter, then Google will have good apps in their Play Store. What happens today is you have to understand the business side of it again. What happens today is is Flutter is Google's way of getting the same app treatment as App Store. Today, good devs, great devs, they make apps for indie devs. They makes app for App Store first, for Apple first, and then if it gets successful, then it comes to Play Store. You would have seen many apps like Van Gogh painting app. A lot of apps first came to App Store, then later on, after 3 6 months, they came to Play Store. So the problem Google is saying that it's all dynamics out. This is a long topic. We'll talk about something else. But yeah, Flutter is not definitely the future, not definitely the present. It's good to know. Good to know basis. Yes.
Okay, we'll take one last question, which is from Praveen. Few words about your view and use of open source software for web devs.
Few words. I think it's great. We all should do it. We all should put our time, money, energy, effort into doing open source. Um, Even big companies can do a better job and in supporting open source. I'm proud of what Microsoft is doing right now. Um, Other companies also, Google using GSOC, and Facebook is doing great work in open source. So big companies are coming into picture. Even the medium-sized companies, the not so famous companies, should come because they are using open source every day. So they should fund. And I think for web devs, OSS is the best way to showcase your work. Create something which other people can use, and the source code is out there. It's good to get a job through that. It's good to showcase your work. It's good to follow your passion through that as well. So again, long topic. It will be like 1 hour topic in itself if we talk about it. So few words is great thing. Do it.
Okay, so that was the last question. I think we're done with this session. Thank you so much,
Thank
Tanya,
you.
for this insightful session. It was really helpful.
Thank you, Akash. Thank you, everyone who joined. This was lovely talking to you. This was also very honest. So try not to twist my words here and there because People are ready to jump on opinions. Ki, no, I will prove this guy wrong. This is again, all of it is my personal idea, my personal opinion. Learn from these things, and learn one thing which I would say is learn to reflect on your life, see where you might be making a mistake, and don't be bullish on things like, like when we were kids, we were like, "Okay, no, Superman versus Batman, always Superman will win." Everything is, it depends. And when you have made a mistake, acknowledge that mistake, move on from that. That's the easiest way in life to do things. So thank you so much for listening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.